Well, good morning and welcome to today's episode of The Word. I'm glad that you're with us today. Hey, it's all about salvation, right? It's all about saving people from themselves. It's about saving people from their sins. It's about saving people from their choices. It's about saving people from their situations. It's all about salvation. And that's what we're going to talk about today. It's all about salvation. It's all about the grace and the mercy that God gives to each of us through Jesus Christ. And we're going to get to that through the story of Joseph. You remember Joseph, our wonderful Joseph, a coat of many colors. We're going to get to our story right after this. So, we're going to be talking about Joseph and the relationship of how God saves his people. So, do I dare go over it? Briefly. It's a decent story, but for the sake of time, we'll go briefly over it. Joseph, number 11 out of 12 of the sons of Jacob, also known as Israel. He was Jacob's favorite. The reason he was Jacob's favorite is because he was the son of Rachel, his true love. And so he would lavish on Joseph all kinds of things, the coat of many colors. And Joseph was not only a dreamer, but Joseph was, according to the brothers, the spy of Dad. And that's what got him in trouble. He went to go check out what's going on with the brothers. The brothers were very angry. They were going to kill him at first. Reuben, the oldest, decided to, no, we can't kill him. Just throw him in this well, dry well. I'll do something later. I'm just going to let him go. But while Reuben was away from the group decided, well, let's just go ahead and sell Joseph into slavery. Here comes a slave caravan heading its way towards Egypt. Sold him into Egypt. So that was a disaster for Joseph, and at the same time it became a blessing for everyone who came in contact with Joseph. It began with Potiphar, began with the jailer, then it ended in climax with Pharaoh. Pharaoh has this dream of 5 fat and big cows and, not 5, 7. 7 cows, and then 7 cows who were disgusting, gross, emaciated, ready to curl up and die. Well, these 7 emaciated cows ate up the 7 fat cows, well fed and everything, and they never got any bigger. They never filled up. So Pharaoh's having really a conniption. Nobody can interpret the dream. The jailer, the cupbearer, remembers. Hey, Sir Pharaoh, King Pharaoh, sir. Here is a guy who might be able to interpret your dream. Joseph interprets the dream correctly. Pharaoh puts Joseph in charge. Now, this famine had been spreading throughout the known Middle East, and Jacob, Israel, sends his sons to Egypt to buy food. After a couple of different trips and testings, and I'm not going to get into it. If you really want to read it, take a look at Genesis, the latter, starting at chapter 40, I think, is the good place to start and move your way through until our passage in chapter 45. And Joseph finally reveals himself to his brothers. And so that's where we're at right now. Joseph finally revealing himself to his brothers, and let's see what happens. Okay, here 45, starting in verse 3. And Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? But his brothers could not answer him, for they were dismayed at his presence. So Joseph said to his brothers, come near to me, please. And they came near. And he said, I am your brother Joseph, whom you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed or angry with yourselves because you sold me here, for God sent me before you to preserve life. For the famine has been in the land these 2 years, and there are yet 5 years in which there will be neither plowing nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve for you a remnant on earth and to keep alive for you many survivors. So it was not you who sent me here, but God. He has made me a father to Pharaoh and lord of all his house and ruler over all the land of Egypt. Hurry and go up to my father and say to him, thus says your son Joseph, God has made me lord of all Egypt. Come down to me, do not tarry. You shall dwell in the land of Goshen, and you shall be near me, you and your children and your children's children, and your flocks and your herds and all that you have. There I will provide for you, for there are yet 5 years of famine to come, so that you and your household and all that you have do not come to poverty. And now your eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin see, that this is my mouth that speaks to you. You must tell my father of all my honor in Egypt and of all that you have seen. Hurry and bring my father down here. Then he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. And he kissed all his brothers and wept upon them. After that, his brothers talked with him. So, what the brothers meant for disaster, for ruin, for Joseph, for ease and comfort for themselves, because they didn't have to deal with this dreamer anymore, this technicolored dream coat, if you will. They're not going to have to deal with him anymore. And you can imagine the guilt and the grief and the sorrow that the brothers were facing, because now they have seen their long-lost brother, the one that they told their father was killed by a wild animal. The grief and the sorrow, and Joseph is saying, no, stop, no, guys, it's okay. You didn't mean it for my good. You meant it for your own good. But here's what God meant it for. God meant it for the salvation. God meant it to save you, to save thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. To save them through what we had learned from the 2 dreams of Pharaoh. And we still have 5 more years left to go. So please bring Father here. Bring Father and all of your family. And how many in that family? Just a little tidbit of trivia. 66. All of them came and lived in the land of Goshen that Joseph had provided for them. You see, things happen in our lives. Things happen that we may not realize at the time are good and proper and right things for us, leading us to salvation. But there are, and they do. And if we move forward about 6,000 years, we will see what God had done. God had sent his Son into the death and the sorrow that many people experienced, but the death and the sorrow of Jesus. Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. God, give them your salvation. You have sent me here into their lives in order to save them. They may have grief, they may have sorrow for what their sins have caused. At the same time, God, you sent me here to save them from themselves. And that's what Jesus did. He saved us from ourselves. Not to remain where we are, but to be different. And that's what this is all about. God sending salvation to his people. And that's what we're going to talk about today, later on in worship. So I look forward to seeing you in worship, looking forward to seeing you very, very soon. You guys have a great and wonderful Sunday morning. See you in Bible Talks at 9:15. See you in worship at 10:30. You guys have a great and wonderful day. Bye-bye.